often said that there has never been a better time to be a food lover than right now. And while we all applaud and give profound thanks for the flood of exciting new eateries, the fact is the rules of the game and of eating out have changed. The cuisines, the numbers, the longevity. Which is why we thought it the perfect time to look back at some of those places that have truly stood the test of time. Restaurants that once were game changers that are now, well, I suppose, the last men standing. Here though is what hasn't changed. The appeal, the love, the customers that clearly can't get enough even these many years on. So here it is, ladies and gentlemen, presenting the Centurions. And so my first stop is in the heart of old Mumbai. Pancham Puriwala sits not too far from the iconic Victoria terminus, a building that incidentally it predates by a few decades. Yes, I have been told that piping hot puris have been served at exactly this spot for 160 years and counting. That's staggering by anyone's count. So I of course wanted to figure out what they were doing so right that for 16 decades they've been crowding them in. And yes, it's all in the name. But before we get to the puris and what they're served with, let's get a little backstory first.
As my father and my grandfather told me, this place was established in year somewhere around 1848. It was the founder of the place is Mr. Pancham, on whose name the restaurant is Pancham Puriwala. Yes. Mr. Pancham is my great-great-grandfather, who is the founder of this place. Wow. So generation after generation, the family people have been taking care of the family business. Nice. I'm the 6th generation in front of you, still making puris.
As inherited businesses go, this I am on board with, especially when it means all of this. The standard puri, the masala puri and the palak puri. Served steaming hot, they are super.
Mr. Pancham Da came all the way walking from my hometown. He started at this premises. This is big enough now, but it was just very small. Started making puris in coal fire with a kadhai, and we used to serve in pattal.
And while some things have changed, the essence hasn't. For example, they have expanded on the accompaniments, and these aren't small pickings. To start then, the aloo rasa, a light pungent gravy that uses no garlic and no onions, just potatoes, water and spice. And boy, does it work. And you know, here's the thing, this is a place that in 160 years has specialized in just one thing. And they've continued to succeed with that. If that doesn't tell you everything you need to know about the puris, I don't know what will. Another speciality, of course, one that traces back for the full 160 years, is the bhopla or kaddu or pumpkin. And I can see why. That tang, that perfect kick of killer khatta meeta. The things you learn. Kaddu or bhopla has never been my favorite go-to vegetable. This is awesome. It is fantastic. It's sort of sweet and sour and oh my god, it's so good. And as I move on to try the rest, the secret to their longevity emerges. This, just solid, simple, insanely tasty home-style fare. The cauliflower sabzi, the spinach puree, the curry that follows it. Best had, I am told, with the spinach puri. A bite, and it's a combination I cannot argue with.
160 years, okay, the recipes were still the same, still they are the same. They've just been passed on to generation to generation. I have chefs who've been working with me from generation to generation. So that's probably the success story.
The thing that is upsetting me of everything that is sitting in front of me is the fact that Pancham Puriwala has been sitting here for all these years and I've never come here before. I am deeply, deeply ashamed. You can wash it down with their colourful lassis or top it off with their gulab jamun, but I say when the grub's this good, why waste stomach space on anything else? So all too well fed, I think what's in order now is something to wash it all down, and I know the perfect place to get it. Just off Mumbai's Crawford Market sits Badshah, a juice and snack centre that was established in, yes, 1905. With a century plus under their belt, Badshah has figured it out, and it has the crush to show for it. Spread over 2 levels, when I arrived there didn't seem to be a corner that wasn't crowded with hungry customers. And it's a large space, so really, filling it up is no small feat. More I'm told, it's always like this and has been for quite a while. And then as I took my seat, I discovered the drinks could wait. I was first urged to try their eats, a small sampling considering my earlier excursion, which began with a butter-laden dosa served with chutney and a rather lurid sambar. I will say I have had meals that have got off to a better start than this. So I will say that I've had better dosas. I've certainly had crispier ones. I know for a fact I've had better chutney and better sambar. That said, this is good. Perfectly serviceable fare and, sort of, what's the word, toothsome enough that I begin to understand the crush.